Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Kettleson Cooking Show. Today we are going to do a pan-fried buffalo chicken. Now, I love this recipe. I kind of stole it from different places that I've eaten at. I love good bar food, and so do my kids. So if you're ever in a local establishment and you've had a good buffalo chicken, I kind of really take this so that you can make it at home. And my kids love it. Now, I'm going to show you how to control the spiciness. You know, when I was a kid, I thought ketchup was spicy. But I find my kids, Elizabeth, my 7-year-old, she loves to eat spicy food. And Genevieve, when she was a kid, she loved to eat spicy food. So you can control that. What we're going to need today is we're going to need some butter. We're going to need salt, pepper. We're going to need some hot sauce. We're going to need a little bit of blue cheese for the end, and then we're going to crank things up today. We're going to have bacon, a little bit of bacon I made, and some Colby. And then we're going to need 2 chicken breasts. So let's grab those chicken breasts. Now, we got to talk about chicken breasts, right? Chicken breasts are a little bit dangerous. Kind of like using your credit card online, right? We want to make sure and have some precautions. So when we use our credit card online, we want to make sure the site's secure. We want to make sure we see that little lock up there. We want to make sure we're giving our credit card information to a reputable company. That's the same way with chicken, because chicken has a bacteria, salmonella on it. Now that salmonella bug can really come off that chicken and taint your food. It can make you sick. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we use a separate cutting board, a separate knife. Anytime we're cutting chickens, we want to cutting or touching chicken, we want to wash our hands off it. So I have my 2 chicken breasts here. If you do need to trim them a little bit, you can. You can just take a knife and trim them. Just remember to wash your hands. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put salt and pepper on there. So we're going to put a little pepper here. And you can just put them right on the breast. And in the meantime, you saw me, I turned on my frying pan. Now this is just a regular frying pan. Now this does have a little bit of the bacon that I left in there, a little bit of the bacon bits, because I'll just cook the chicken right in that. However, if you do have a frying pan that is just a regular frying pan and it doesn't have the coatings to make it non-sticking, then what I want you to do is to add a little bit of extra oil to it. So I'm going to use olive oil here. So even though I have a non-stick pan here, I'm just going to add a drop of oil just to make sure that we have a nice surface that our chicken doesn't stick to. If you would have a non-stickless frying pan, you would add a little bit more oil than that, obviously. Okay, that looks good. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put breast side down, and then you can hear that nice sizzle. And then what you want to do is just move the breast a little bit. Now notice I've touched the chicken, so now I want to wash my hands. And I can see this cutting board that I use for chicken. And I love using these little cutting boards for chicken. You know, I bought it at the dollar store, so it wasn't very expensive. But I want to make sure that I just saw that I had a little bit of thing there. I want to make sure. But I bought a separate cutting board just solely for when I use cutting chicken. And it's just a little cutting board. It's got a handle. It's really, really nice. So if you're at the dollar store, pick one of those up. Couple of differences here. Now, when you're in the restaurant, right, they're going to cook the chicken either on a broiler, which is one of those big, it looks kind of like a barbecue grill, and they can put it on there and they can go like that, or they're going to put it in a deep fryer. So what we're going to try to do is kind of mimic that cooking style. At the same time, we want to make sure that we can do this safely and easily at home. So I have those 2 chicken breasts going here. I'm going to take I'm just going to want to lift them a little bit, just to make sure that they're not sticking. I don't want to peel the chicken off. Okay, so now we're going to get to the nuts and bolts of this recipe, and that is our lovely buffalo sauce. Now you can go to the store and you can buy a buffalo sauce. They sell those. However, oftentimes there's a lot of different additives, there's a lot of different things in there. You can make it yourself, and what's nice about making it yourself is that you control how hot or how spicy it is. So what you're going to do is, to make your own buffalo sauce, is just put 2 big tablespoons of butter in there. Then you're going to take your favorite hot sauce, And you're gonna put that right into that butter. Now, you can control how hot you want this in a couple of ways. First and foremost, the more butter you add, the less spicy it's gonna be, the more creamy it's gonna be. Secondly, you can always add a little bit of water to this to kind of dilute the flavor. I generally like to take 2 tablespoons of butter and about 2 tablespoons of hot sauce, and that'll be my, and we're gonna put a little bit more in here. Ooh, that's gonna be good. So now I got my buffalo sauce in here. I want to add a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. This way we continue those flavors throughout. And we're going to take this, we're going to put it in the microwave. We're going to microwave this for 45 seconds to a minute. Let's start with 45 seconds. Ooh, and it's just about time to flip this chicken. Oh, that's beautiful. Now, you can do chicken like this, just for your family. You can do chicken like this and maybe go back and look at the corn recipe and the carrot recipe and put those 3 together and have a simple, safe, and delicious dish for your family to eat. I like to kind of spice this up with some buffalo sauce and some bacon. You know, I was thinking a lot about how much just energy there is in the world right now. And I just wanted to well, I don't know, I just think to myself, like so many other Americans and people around the world, this time there's just so much energy, and a lot of it's negative energy. I just think to myself, man, we have to somehow get a positive energy going again, and I think it really starts with ourselves and trying to love ourselves and love other people. I was shocked to see my daughter this week. You know, her team didn't play very well in volleyball. Simply put, they played well in the morning, but in the afternoon they just didn't play well in the tournament. And I saw these group of 7th grade girls, how quickly they came together, they bonded, and how quickly they were having fun. And of course the parents were in the stands and we wanted them to win, and we saw they were playing like crap. I was just amazed by their coach, and their coach simply stayed calm, kept encouraging them, no matter how bad these girls, how many mistakes these girls made. He didn't scream, he didn't yell, he didn't get negative. He stayed positive. He said, now that you weren't in the right position, let's make sure that we're in the right position at all times. You didn't have good form on that play. Remember, you had a teammate behind you, and I was just so impressed as I was standing in the crowd, you know, thinking about my 7th grade basketball team and how our coaches used to yell at us. I was so happy to see that there was a way that we can really help each other get better, move our team forward, but do it in a loving way. So I challenge you this week to really think about how you react to situations, and in those situations where you want to scream, where you just want to yell, I challenge you to step back and to look at it just like I was sitting there in the bleachers, and step back and look at it and say to yourself, you know what? We can make this happen, and we can make the changes that we need to get our society better, but we can also do it in a loving way, a calm, loving, peaceful way. I love this barbecue recipe, this buffalo recipe, simply because my kids love it so much. Now, remember we talked about salmonella, and we talked about the bacteria on the chicken? We want to make sure we cook this chicken well. We want to make sure we cook it thoroughly. Everybody should invest in a small thermometer that they can use to test the chicken. You can buy them at the store. Now, I grew up in a kitchen, so I do it a little bit differently. I use the field test. And quite honestly, sometimes it leaves me in the situation where the chicken isn't underdone, but it isn't fully cooked to 165 degrees. And that's what you're looking for with chicken. You want it fully cooked to 165 degrees. The only reason why you want it fully cooked to 165 degrees is because of the simple fact that kills all the bacteria. So go out and buy yourself a little thermometer like this. It's a poultry thermometer. Once again, it might cost you $3 to $5. But it's really nice if you haven't cooked a lot of chicken to be able to see if it's done. Now we got our sauce here, right? So what we want to do is we want to mix this up. And this is going to be our buffalo sauce. Now you can kind of smell right away how spicy that's going to be. You should get a good kick, but if it is too spicy, remember you can always add water or add more butter to really calm that flavor down. Ooh, that's going to be good. That is going to be delicious. Now, the other thing with chicken that I always hear, and people say this about chicken, like when they go to a new grocery store and they try the chicken, they come home and they cook it and they say, man, that chicken was real chewy. Well, a lot of times it's not really about the chicken being chewy, it's about how you cooked it. There's a couple of things we want to think about with cooking chicken. First and foremost, we want to make sure that we cook it thoroughly to 165 degrees. The second thing we want to do is after we take it off the grill, we want to give it a little bit of time. So generally, you know, people come over, they cook the chicken, they get it up to 185, 200 degrees because they don't want it to be to get any kind of germs. They put it on the plate, they hand it to their guests or to their kids. Their kids cut it open, all the juices run out. And then they eat the chicken and say, man, this chicken's stringy and dry. Let's try, as we cook the chicken, to think about a couple things. First and foremost, we want to make sure we get it to 165, but we don't want to get it to 185 or 200. Second thing we want to do is after we have cooked the chicken, we want to give the chicken a little bit of time to relax. We need it to really relax a little bit. Just like all of us need a little time to relax, the chicken needs a little time to relax. And what's going to happen then is the juices are going to stay in the chicken. So this way when your guests or your kids eat the chicken, they're going to cut into it, and each morsel is going to be very, very, very just juicy and delicious. So remember, we don't want to cook this to 200, even 185 is too high. We want to get it over that 165 and then we want to stop. Then we want to make sure that we give it a nice little rest. Oh, this is going to be good. I'm going to do one buffalo style. There's a lovely little bar in Livonia that does this dish. And when I was working for a different bank, I would go out there and I had the greater metro Michigan area, Detroit area, as one of my territories, and I loved it, man. If you guys haven't ever been to the Detroit area, it is fantastic. The city of Detroit itself, the inner city is wonderful. There are some really tough parts, but once again, don't let that stop you from going there. I mean, it is fantastic. I love the inner city, and the suburbs are absolutely awesome. Whether you're in Dearborn or Livonia, it is just so nice to be around those suburbs. I actually stole this second part of the recipe from this bar because this is what they do. After they cook the chicken, they let it rest. So once again, now that we have this here, we can start to feel. If you feel the chicken and the chicken bounces back like it's like on one of those really, really firm beds, you know the chicken's getting done. If the chicken bounces back, you know it's getting done. If it feels like it's on a waterbed, you know, it's like mushy and you can push through it, you know that the inside still hasn't fully cooked. And I can see like right now that this is getting to a point where it's almost ready. So we can take our thermometer and we want to stick it in the biggest part of the chicken. And we just want to read it real quick here. Once again, we want to get it to 165. We don't want it to be over 185. We want to make sure that we get it in a nice, safe range, but it's still not overly dry. This needs just a little bit more time. It'll be done in a second. Another method of telling whether the chicken is done is if you remove your thermometer and you see clear liquid coming out of the chicken, that's a good indication the chicken is getting really close to being done. If you see a red liquid or a pink liquid coming out, you know that you need a little bit more time on that chicken. Woo, that looks good. Man, it's got me going here early in the morning. I got a couple questions online. I had somebody made our carrot recipe and they absolutely loved it. That was really nice to see. They said, what a nice little simple side dish I can make for my family that incorporates fresh carrots. And I got a ton of responses to the Chinese chicken soup, which, by the way, my daughter's made me make like 4 or 5 times, and my daughter in college, she actually made the recipe herself. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. I know that they really enjoy the ginger in that recipe. So let's go one more time. Let's take a look at the chicken. Let's see if we can get it. You can also get a digital thermometer, of course. You know, my daughters would make fun of me and say that I'm living in the ice age because I use a non-digital thermometer that'll give you an exact reading of the exact temperature of the chicken. And that's reading done. Okay. So now, we want to let this chicken rest. We do not want this chicken to serve this chicken right away. Because if we do, all those juices are going to come flowing out. We get our bacon ready, we got our cheese ready, and we're going to start this dish. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this dish now, but I want to make sure you guys know. I'm going to do it now. But I would normally let this rest for 4 or 5 minutes before I did it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one breast, I'm going to put it on the plate. I'm going to then take 2 pieces, I'm going to then take the buffalo sauce. And I want to drizzle the buffalo sauce over the chicken. Just right over the top. And you want to get a nice portion of that buffalo sauce. Then what I want to do is I want to add my bacon. And of course I cooked this bacon a little bit beforehand. And I just like to put it in a big X. I like to think that X is for love or a kiss, like in the XO. But I just put it in a big S. And then I had some Colby Jack from my kids' sandwiches at lunch. So I'm just going to use a piece of Colby Jack. And I just want to put that Colby Jack right on top. Now I'm just going to take it and I'm going to throw it in the microwave. All I'm going to do is melt it, so I want about 20 seconds. All I want to do is melt that cheese right over the top of that chicken breast. Now once again, you can do this one either way. You can do the kicking it up a notch with the bacon and the Colby cheese, or you could just do it the plain way. So now I got that nice melted chicken right on top there. Oh, that looks so good. You can see this with some green beans, maybe some mashed potatoes or some rice. Or I could just do it plain, and the plain way is just take it, you put your sauce right on top, just drizzle that buffalo sauce right on top, and then we're going to finish this dish with a little blue cheese. Now my daughters, of course, they like ranch, but I like to do the blue cheese, and I don't like to put the blue cheese on top. I like